Thank you, Chair. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. And
thank you very much, Mr. Chair,
for not only returning to the Public Accounts Committee, but to the outstanding work that you and your team continue to do for Canadians as we continue to evaluate the expenditures of this Liberal government here heading into its 11th year. By now, all Canadians are aware of the scandal of GC Strategies, $64 million across 31 departments. For you yourself, this is even the second report, not the first, relative to this scandal and GC Strategies. In addition to the reports that you've completed, the Procurement Ombudsman has made appearances across committees indicating grave concern about procurement regulation and how this is followed, and this certainly circles back to the report here today. What GC Strategies did was egregious, and no organization, entity, corporation, big or small, should ever be able to do this to Canadians and the Canadian taxpayer. But it's evident once again from this most recent report that this government let them do it. Now, they weren't willing to support a motion in the House of Commons that banned GC Strategies for life, rather a paltry 7-year ban. And you yourself said, in your own words, the rules are clear. No more policies are needed. No recommendations are needed here. The government need only follow and enforce the rules. Why, based upon your intense evaluation, is this Liberal government incapable of following and enforcing the rules?
I think it's a question that we asked ourselves through many procurement audits that we've done over the last couple of years. What is driving the behavior that we are seeing in the public service? And I think I would point to two things. You know, what is it about the procurement process in the federal government that a staffing company is the mechanism that is typically used for IT services? Is it because the procurement process is complex, or that those delivering those services don't want to wade through all of that and are happy to just go through a staffing company? So I do think that that's something the government needs to figure out. There might be certain services where staffing companies make sense and others where it doesn't. The rest, I think, then rests with the public service. Why aren't the rules known and why aren't they being applied? And that is why I didn't see the necessity to issue new recommendations. I think going back to the basics and understanding the rules is essential, but I also think the government needs to figure out if there are too many and start taking doubled up rules or rules that aren't adding any value off, so that this can be a faster process in the future.
Yes, but fundamentally, it is the ministers who have oversight of the public service and must ensure that the rules are being followed and enforced. There was a new report issued today that federal managers are now required to sign an oath stating that they thought about it. They thought about the expenditures before they spent the money. Would you be able to expand upon this new regulation which has been put in place, that federal managers must think about the money that they are spending before signing for it?
I have to admit, I'm not sure I know the language of the oath that you're talking about. I do know, following our work on Arrivekin in the first contract we issued on professional services that were including contracts on McKinsey, that there was a requirement added that someone in the procurement process needed to attest that they knew all of the rules they needed to follow and that they had followed them. So that's a good reminder. But in my mind, it's just another step. And I really do think that it's time to sort of decide whether there are too many rules, because after my audits, internal audits, or third parties, the ombuds work, more rules are constantly added, and eventually it just becomes too much for people to be able to apply with, due diligence.
So what I'm hearing you say then is that signing an oath saying that public servants thought about the expenditures will not solve the problem, according to your evaluation.
Well, I think signing an oath is important. It's a good reminder of the responsibility that comes with the delegated authority. When an individual in a department or a Crown corporation is given authority to spend taxpayer money, it's good to recognize the burden and the responsibility that comes with that. But I'm not sure that it will make sure that everyone understands all the rules. So I do think that there is a need to go back to some training and perhaps streamlining rules if necessary.
Indeed, and ministers do sign an oath when they take office that they will serve Canada and its citizens faithfully, and we have seen here that they have failed once again. So then in your estimate, perhaps you can expand on your comments as to how we can hold both managers and ministers who oversee the public servants accountable to enforce the rules, because that's all you really want to see. Are the rules followed and enforced? How can we ensure that ministers will do that?
So I wouldn't expect that a minister would be involved in day-to-day procurement practices in a department. There are rules that state when a procurement goes over a certain threshold that ministers need to be involved in the approval process. But the day-to-day and most of the contracts that we looked at over the 2 audits on professional services were just about day-to-day contracting. So I do think a minister should ask, the deputy head how they are ensuring that rules are followed and good value for money is always achieved. But then it comes down to those within departments with that delegated authority to be aware of the rules, to apply them, and know why it's important to achieve value for money. And value for money doesn't always mean the lowest price. It means the best service or best product for the government at a competitive price.
Thank you for your work. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.